Welcome to No Apology with Emilee and Chris. So glad you're with us once again. We will be laughing louder, digging deeper, living larger on the show. And I hope you have the coffee brewing, Chris, because
Are you a little tired?
I'm dragging a little bit after the conference. Yeah. But it was great. It was a really good conference.
We put a lot of effort into a lot of things, and the Higher Ground Conference was this past weekend, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday morning. And then, of course, we had church yesterday. I preached yesterday. So, yeah, it's I'm a little bit fatigued myself, just kind of gliding along. We had a Bible study at lunch today, and I was just kind of in a fog, just trying to, hang on. And we just have great people that go here, and some of them have deep Bible knowledge.
Lots of grace.
Here would be Fresh Encounter Church in Harlan, Iowa. It could be called America's Jerusalem, but we'll save that for another day.
I was just going to say, you almost said that like in the Jewish language, like Harlan.
Harlan. Shabbat Shalom from Harlan. No, we had a great conference. Al and Lisa Robertson were in town, and Brad Stein came on Thursday. Rob Rosenboom shared on Friday night. Mike Shaw had a great message on Saturday.
Wonderful message.
Emilee uncorked a brand new message. She'd never spoken. She used to speak at women's conferences and marriage conferences for years and had a couple really sound teachings, which we're going to continue to take out wherever God would open up the door. But she did a new one, and it really, really was good. So
I'm glad you thought so.
There were dozens of people that have reached out to me, dozens, and my microphone. There you go. I'm back. Hi.
Earth to Chris.
There's a short in the microphone, and I don't know what happened. There were dozens of folks who reached out to me that talked about in their own way how their lives were changed by the conference. And we know that that's Jesus, right?
Yep.
And so we can really say that people did get to a higher ground because of everything that they shared. And the comedy on Thursday night was just fantastic. And Emilee, you tried to pull a little prank on me.
I did. Well, it wasn't just me, Jake and I, our son, because you and I, our family used to tour around and do I don't even know what you call it. It was called the Big Night Out, and churches would have us come in. We'd have a lot of fun. And one of the things we did was some stand-up comedy and some improv. And you were not prepared to do that at the conference.
No, but my spidey sense said that you and Jake were planning something.
Of course.
So I kind of had an idea something was up. But when you went on stage, you said Chris used to always make us rehearse, and then he would never want to rehearse. And it was like, I don't know what you were talking about there, because the reality is basically, here's what happened. Emilee said, someday I'm going to get you. Because I'd always say, I don't need to rehearse. I can just go up. I can just go up and drop bombs at the drop of a hat. I'll go out in front of 20,000 people in 5 minutes. I'll go out in front of 20,000 people with no rehearsal in 5 minutes from now, and I can still do mic drops and bomb drops and just lift the roof off. And we used to laugh and joke about it. And you're like, someday I'm going to get you. And you tried on Saturday or Thursday night.
But you nailed it. You came through.
We did.
Your promise.
Our physicality was suspect, but we nailed it.
Okay, I always felt like, and I could be way off here. I always felt like you before we would go out, you would want you and Jake or Hannah or whoever was doing stuff on stage. Let's just do a run through. Let's do just a few. What do you call them? Just practice.
Well, a lot of that was on the handoff thing. Like, when we would introduce Hannah, we'd introduce Jake, or, how you wanted to know where we were going to be. Yeah. And you were more the stickler than I was.
It would kind of just get our brains in the right mindset to do what we had to do on stage.
Right.
So that was the thing. Like, we need to we need to rehearse. We need to go through this. We all need to be on the same page. We have to go through. And you were a stickler about that. We
I
didn't
get
just
where you were coming
show
from.
up and do it.
We didn't rehearse improv much other than just, the flow.
Right.
Every now and then.
If we hadn't done it in a long time.
That was more about you browbeating me to rehearse, and I'd be like, I don't need to rehearse.
Yeah, that was the thing, is like sometimes, time you're getting ready, whatever, you're about ready to take the stage, and I realized, well, we kind of haven't run through this portion or that portion or the other portion. Not necessarily just improv.
We did the same show 46 times in a row. I didn't think rehearsal was necessary.
Sometimes there were gaps.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
And Granny
we'd have 6 or 7 months between shows.
Yeah, I'm a busy person.
We used to do shows every month, then it was then it was twice a year, then it was once a year. We'd do like 4 or 5 together, and then finally we made Bible Idiots and quit. That's what happened, I think, in a nutshell.
That is quite a story.
Either way.
A riveting story. But my point was that even though, we needed to kind of go through things, we needed to make sure we were on the same page. You were very attentive to that.
Yeah.
You always reassured us that don't worry about anything. Worst case scenario, I can pick up a mic and I can deliver the goods at any day, any moment, anytime. I can do that.
And I think I was a younger man when I made that boisterous, arrogant claim.
I wanted to put that to the test.
I have a question about all of this, though.
Okay,
and I've been waiting for this show to ask this question because we've been really tired. I mean, we've had this afternoon, we had the last person leave our house.
Yeah.
And when they left our house, it was just like eerily quiet. I'm like, I don't know.
The dogs didn't know what to do.
I don't know it's just her and I again, I guess.
They were just staring at the door like, ain't anybody coming back in here?
I was meaning to ask you this question yesterday because we went to Omaha and dropped Warren off at Warren Calloway from Fig Tree Media Group came up on his own, filmed the whole thing, and so we're going to have some promos. We don't even know what we're going to do with the footage.
But we got the footage. That's the important thing.
We always have a phrase that we use at Fig Tree is we can't use footage we don't shoot.
Right.
So this was one of those events where we're going to incubate this conference. So Warren's like, I'll come up and shoot the whole thing for free. Oh, no.
And he's always a hoot to be with.
After we dropped Warren off at the airport, you and I had a couple hours where we could just be in Omaha and download it. And it was on the tip of my tongue. I was going to ask it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to wait for the show tomorrow. So here it is.
Okay.
What were you hoping was going to happen when you did this? Were you hoping I was going to fall flat on my face?
No.
Was that because either way it's going to be funny.
Okay,
either I'm going to be funny or my failure is going to be funny to you.
You'll either succeed
or you'll
hoping
fail
to
accomplish by all of a sudden, come on, we're going to do a couple improv games.
Well, let's just put it this way.
I can't wait to see how
you and I have worked
it.
together for a long time.
Yeah.
A very long time. And I'm not the type of I'm not an off the cuff type person.
You get mad when you don't have notes for everything.
Yeah, I need to think about what I'm going to say. I need to write it out. I need to say it out loud, see how it sounds.
But you don't have to do that on the radio. Why can't you transfer that to the stage?
I don't care.
That's part of the problem.
So I don't do well on that fly by night seat of your pants. This is what we're going to do. I have an idea. You do. But for many, many years as we worked together, we took countless numbers of stages. And right before we would go off onto the stage, you'd lean over to me and you would say, okay, we're going to do things different. Instead, I want you to do this. Ba, 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 ba. And we would just walk out.
That needs some clarification.
And I would just I had butterflies in my stomach the way it was. And you would just change things. Like, it's okay. We'll just change. At a moment's notice, we'll just change
let's just shake it up a little bit. And there's a reason for that. That deserves a rebuttal.
So I thought, what?
I wasn't just a mean guy or a crazy guy.
No, you weren't at all. But you function that way, and you function that way very well. And I don't.
No, it would be like we were just about to go on and they said that we had okay, we're hosting the Casting Crowns concert or whatever.
Right.
We're going to go out and do our 2 minutes on stage. And when they tell you have 2 minutes, they mean two not
minutes,
3.
Yeah.
And so when we were about to go out, Emilee's going to lead, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. And I'll be thinking, oh, I got a better idea. I think we can do this and be more effective. And she used to just get mad. I mean, we're talking about a turn with a hairy eyeball ready to just choke you. It's like, don't interrupt her mode. So I learned how to not do that. But can we tell the story about what you used to do when we first started?
I don't know what story that is.
We had a mission.
But you have calloused me to the point where my skin is so thick. You can't hurt me anymore.
we had a Christian radio station out in the Bering Sea in Alaska that we managed for 3 years. Every year we would come down to the lower 48 and do a tour. Sometimes 8 states along the West Coast, through the Midwest the next time. Mm-hmm. And then we'd go back, and then I'd spend the time booking those churches to let us in and share the mission of the radio station, reaching the Yupik Eskimos and the salmon fishermen and all those things. That's what the Christian radio station did. And we had to raise money to keep it on the air. So we'd have to do these, what was called deputation presentations. And so Emilee hated them. I mean, she hated she just did not want to be on stage at all, but she had to because this was all part of the deal.
It's the mission field.
We sold everything and moved to Alaska on the Bering Sea.
The workers are few, so
whether we were in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, or whether we were in Flagstaff, Arizona, or Bakersfield, California, or Beaver Run, Oregon, and I mean all those places.
Yeah.
Just before we're standing on the side of the platform. Or even sometimes at some churches, you'd sit in the front row and then they'd do their introduction and you'd stand up and go to the thing. Mm-hmm. Just as they were about to say, please welcome Christian broadcast missionaries, Chris and Emilee Danielson. Emilee used to lean into my ear and she would say the same thing the whole, for those 2 years. She said, and it got to the point where I would be like, if she didn't say it, I'd lean my ear in, just like, come on, get it in, almost like good luck charm.
Yeah.
And what was the phrase that you would so lovingly whisper into my ear every time, just before we walked out on stage?
I hate you.
I hate you.
It was like break a leg,
It became break a leg, but it wasn't for the first six to 20 times we did it. Anyway, Anyway, so it worked out good. The main thing is that we didn't have microphones. We didn't have lav mics, so we had to project the room. And I thought that was, not going to work at first. But then you're like, we don't care. Do it.
Yeah. And we weren't really totally set up for it. But, it's just one of those things where I'm like, well, he'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out.
Because like you said, anytime, any day,
anywhere,
any moment,
any minute,
I can pick up a mic and deliver the goods. You did. Yeah. You proved yourself right. So
except for that time at Kuiper College in Grand Rapids when I completely lost, like I went blank, and Emilee thought I was having a stroke. So
a little worried.
That's when I decided maybe I'm getting too old for this.
Anyway,
but like a detective from a 1977 drama.
Yeah.
Just when I get out, you drag me right back in.
Right.
All right. It was a good time. Hey, when we would go to do some of those lines on improv,
yes,
it was like you never know if they're going to land or not. But
True.
I mean, Jake and I were back, and they were all landing. It was like one of those weird
I had some
shows
help.
where everything worked.
It worked. I think we had a great crowd. They were ready to laugh.
Yeah. Well, the people here are fantastic. We had
a great crowd. So
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, it's getting to the point now where I judge all other places we've lived through the Harlan, Iowa lens. And
through the Harlan, Iowa.
Harlan, Iowa. So we're going to celebrate Hanukkah next year? I don't know. All right, let's get to the show. I've got a Salvaged by God deep dive coming. Mike Shaw standing by for Right On Way Off. But we start, like we always do, with the Granny Rant. Here's Emilee. Donna.
And today it's kind of a thanks, but no thanks. I don't normally follow, celebrity news, but this was just too interesting to me. It was just absolutely captivating. It's in the headlines now. Apparently, Jerry Seinfeld was on the red carpet. He was being interviewed by someone on, cameras all over. And an artist, a singer by the name of Keisha, don't know who she is, hope I'm pronouncing the name right, walks up to him and tells him, "I'm such a great fan. Can I give you a hug?" And Jerry said, "No, thank you," which is kind of a little unusual in that you just don't see that very often, but he was very polite about it. He just said, "No, thank you." And she kind of persisted. "Oh, come on, I'm a big fan. Just one little hug." And he was no. He wasn't going to do it. And so she just kind of stood there for a second and then, "Oh, okay," and left. And it was a little bit of an awkward moment.
I would say.
Yeah. A little bit of an awkward moment. However, what followed that rather was a lot of people were a little miffed at Jerry for how dare you do that. I mean, here's Keisha.
I don't know who Keisha is, but is she probably some sort of star now?
Yeah, she's,
I mean, when the Grammy Awards came on, the little promo during the football game, it says this person and this person and this really impressive person and this person are all going to be making live appearances. I didn't know any of them.
Yeah, I know, because we're old. And Jerry's old.
And we don't care, so you add that to it.
Jerry's actually a little older than us.
Yeah,
and
Jerry's
so he can relate to you. I'm going to get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
But one of the things she did was she said, "I'm Keisha." You know what I mean? Like he's supposed to recognize her then and go, "Oh, okay," and give her a hug. And he's just like, I'm sorry, no, thank you.
Is it because he doesn't do hugs with anyone?
Well,
or is it?
I don't know what it is exactly, but I don't think he's a cuddly person. You know what I mean? I don't think, I think that's just not that he's not a nice person, but he's just not a hands-on person.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't come across like a germaphobe.
No,
but I bet he was kind of one on the
show. Yeah, he was kind of played that on his show, but
he was a real neat freak on the show, and they said that that's how he is in real life.
Yeah,
and like if you watch Coffee with Comedians, Coffees and Cars Getting Comedians and Cars Getting Coffee on Netflix.
Somebody's getting something. Okay.
You can tell that he's well put together. He keeps it tight.
He's and
I can see him not being a hugger.
Together. Like,
But he did explain that. The disser on the red carpet.
He did explain that. Somebody had asked him later in following up, are you just not a hugger? And he's like, well, no, not really. Like, I don't like hugging strangers, and I don't know who she is. And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm 63 years old. I don't know who she is. I don't know everybody. Just because you're famous, that doesn't mean I know you. And he just has a thing where he doesn't hug strangers. And I know a lot of people like that. Yeah. They're not huggers. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was really interesting because people were very upset with what Jerry Seinfeld did. Mm-hmm. And I kind of looked at it like, wait a minute. Let's rethink this. What if the roles were reversed? What if Keisha was standing there and Jerry walked up to her and demanded a hug from her? Would that be considered appropriate? Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Let me ask you, what race is Keisha?
I got to be honest, I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I'm just making a wild guess.
I don't think it has anything to do with that at all.
But if she's African American,
I don't
as
think
a white man dissing, okay, you don't think she is?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm just saying that's probably another
producer look that up.
Another liberal TMZ. Let's get them. Let's get Jerry.
No, it wasn't a liberal thing. I think it was just a fan thing, and they felt bad for her. I kind of felt bad for her too, but. Here's the thing. I feel like, Mike just brought her up. No, she looks very Caucasian to me. So thank you, Mike. But yeah, if the roles were reversed, that would not be acceptable. But here's the thing. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of people that I know that are like that. They're not huggers. One of them is my sister. My other sisters are huggers. But my one sister is not. She's just a little more, when it comes to physicality, a little more laid back, or mm-hmm. I shouldn't say laid back. She's a little more, comfortable at a distance. And I respect that about her. And I don't force myself on her, And I think that we as a society should be more like that. I just thought it was interesting that people jumped all over Jerry Seinfeld as though he did something wrong. Because
she looks like a white girl. I'm looking her up right now.
Yeah, Mike just showed it to us. So yeah.
Well, no. Here's like 3 different Keishas right here. I don't know which one's the one. That
Mike had it.
Which one's the one that's going to try to hug Jerry?
None of those.
Okay,
so let's move on.
All right.
Let it go.
I wonder if we're tired. I wonder if the show's just...
let it go.
I looked up at the recording timer and I said, we're going to start the show at the Granny Rant. Yeah. It's like 12 minutes in. We're just babbling here.
I am not babbling. I have something very important to say.
Jerry Seinfeld didn't hug Keisha. Keisha, we don't know what race she is. But either way, people got offended. And I was just wondering if it was a race offense.
No, it's not. Okay. It had nothing to do with that.
It's a hug offense.
It's a hug offense. But here's the thing with hugs. Like we hear that a lot. I'm a hugger. And it's like, okay, that's great. But you can't force that on other people. We don't do that with any other attribute, I'm a swimmer.
I don't want her to hug me either, really.
That doesn't mean you now have to swim with that person. Right. You know what I mean? I am a gossiper. You don't have to gossip with them. And I really believe if we raised our kids to actually perceive what Jerry Seinfeld did as normal, we would have a lot fewer issues. I really do believe that if people just respected the fact that, you know what, you don't have the right to just go up and put your hands on somebody, right. Learn to read the room, know that people are different. We wouldn't have all these misunderstandings of, well, you touched me and you shouldn't have touched me. And what does that touch mean? And I'm offended, you're offended. And what Jerry did, I feel completely normal. We need to make that the norm. We need to teach that to our kids.
Did COVID teach you nothing?
And I don't care if you're Keisha. You being a celebrity does not trump my autonomy as a person. And so, I think I just thought it was very interesting to watch that.
I feel sorry for Keisha, whoever she is.
Yeah.
Because that's that's an uncomfortableness that, it's like going for a high five and a person just looks at you and walks away.
She did ask, though. That's the thing.
Like I remember one time on a red carpet, Ryan Seacrest went to talk to Brad and Angela Jolie or whatever.
Yeah.
And he went to talk to them and they both literally ghosted him and walked right off.
Oh, yeah.
Like purposefully.
Yeah.
I bet you can find it on YouTube.
You probably can.
By searching it. There was a time where there once was a time when there would actually be people in line to meet Emilee and I. And it was always my job. I would be first. So they would come to they would come to me first and then go to Emilee.
Yeah.
And so as you're, and they would stand about 5 feet back. And then once these people were done, then the next person would come and, hey, we listen to you on the radio every morning, blah, 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 blah. Will you sign this or whatever? And I saw this guy about 3 deep and he caught my attention early on.
Yeah.
You know who I'm going to, the story I'm going to tell.
I do, yeah.
Because then this person goes, and so now it's his turn. And I turn to him and I reached my hand out to him. And he's kind of a mousy little guy, like really kept in. And just like I noticed him 4 or 5 deep in the line. And he blows right past me. And he gets right up in Emilee's face. And he goes, I love you so much, Emilee. I named my cat Emilee. You remember that?
I do.
Now, if he wanted a hug, you wouldn't have given him one.
Absolutely
Instead,
not. In fact,
you dove behind me.
I passed him off to you really quickly. I'm like, oh, that's so nice. Have you met Chris? And I just turned him back over. But yeah, I just
people in Harlan, Iowa, going, I can't believe that ever happened. Yeah, it was like 20 years ago that it happened.
I just don't think people should be shamed into engaging with other people in any physical way that they're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
I think that should be the norm. I think we should be teaching our children that, not just you don't have to hug anybody that wants to hug you, but also teach our children to kind of be a little bit discerning. If you move in towards someone and you sense they're kind of uncomfortable with that, don't try to hug them. Yeah, they're not going to like that.
Even before COVID, it's a hands-off thing.
Yeah.
In fact, because of false accusations that I've seen others go through and heard about.
Yeah.
I do all I can. I always do the shoulder tap hug.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Just kind of get in there, tap the shoulder. I wish we could hug more. We just can't.
Yeah.
And I become not a hugger. Little kids, I don't like picking them up and carrying them around.
Right. Some people do, some people don't.
I would, my granddaughters, I wrestle them.
Yeah.
I hug them and kiss them and my kids, even to this day, even Jake, when he left Harlan, Iowa, I grabbed him and kissed him on his right cheek. I kiss all my kids on the right cheek.
Read the room, okay?
My kids are all in their 30s. They don't even fight it anymore. When they come in for a hug to say goodbye to me, they just give me their cheek because they know it's coming.
They know it's coming. Yeah, exactly.
But when it comes to strangers, when it comes to people that are outside of your immediate family, I think that culture has created this in us. Yeah. And I know we're going to go to the Salvaged by God deep dive in just a minute, but Mike Shaw is standing by right here. Let's go, Mike. I'd like to get your feedback on this because Emilee's Granny Rant was about Jerry Seinfeld and Keisha. Yep. I feel bad for Keisha getting dissed like that. That's kind of sad. But on the other hand, I'm on Jerry's side.
Right, because she did ask. She asked, but then didn't accept his answer.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was a shock. I'm sure she's so used to, if she's a celebrity, she's so used to everybody capitulating to whatever they want. But we saw that up close and personal.
Note to self, if you are a hugger and you ask, be prepared that someone may say no, thank you, and you just say, okay, well, it's nice to meet you.
So I think Keisha did fine. She asked.
Yeah.
I think Jerry did fine. Yeah. He gave her the answer he wanted. Yeah. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. You know what's wrong here is the press going, you should have hugged Keisha.
I agree with that.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't care.
I haven't
hugs Keisha.
I have not gone to see like what's their follow-up response because it's blowing up all over. It's
while Emily was
viral.
talking, I Googled search Keisha and I got like 5 different pictures.
Yeah.
3 were African American
more
ladies.
than
1
one
was
Keisha
white
in the
with
world.
silver hair.
That's why I went to the. That's why I Googled the story.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's not you
that's
handed me your phone and
so
I
the
showed
story
the phone
you
on the YouTube.
Yeah, the picture you showed was from the story.
Okay.
So that's her.
All right.
So Mike's on the show now, so he's going to stay with us through the Bible Idiots Deep Dive or the Salvaged by God.
Are you ready to go? Can we turn there now? All right. Salvaged by God. That is the platform where you will find Chris's teaching. It is at freshroadmedia.com. You can always click on it there. But it is time for the Salvaged by God Deep Dive. Chris, what do you want to talk about?
Is that going to be a little bit hard to talk? Is that going to be hard to remember to say? Because we've been saying Bible Idiots
I
for
need
so
cue
long.
cards now.
Yeah. Before I get into the deep dive, I really want to go around the room and I want to hear from each of you. And I want to start with you, Mike.
Both of you. Yeah.
Well, what's wrong? What's wrong with each of you?
Because there's 2 of us. So 2 of us would
each,
be both of us.
One of you. Each, both of you.
Oh, wait. There's a difference between both and each?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, it depends.
I finally got fewer and lesser.
Like you can each have one, but yeah, I guess you're not wrong. Okay. I just like to pick at you.
How about I do this?
I like to pick at you.
I got a question for you guys. See?
I just remember we went into this little airport one time and it had 2 gates, A and B. That's it. And there was a sign when you first walked in the airport that said, "This way to all gates." And it's like, shouldn't it say this way to both gates? But that's optimism.
And the TSA guy standing there, and one day when I was with Emily, I said, "Both of them?"
Yeah.
And we both laughed.
That's hilarious. That sounds
like Jake's but we laughed.
That's part of Jake's routine.
Yeah, exactly.
We each laughed.
That's great.
I wish we weren't so ignorant, but we are. And we have fun.
Okay, what were we talking about? Because I'm a little
we're in the Salvaged by God Deep Dive, and I want to go around to both Emily and Mike, each of them.
Okay.
And I want to ask them this question. And I want to start with Mike. And then Emily, I really want your honest thoughts on this because you were with me in Nashville in 2021 when the decision was made that you really need to kill the Bible Idiots brand. It's time. It had its run.
Okay.
And just to give a little background real quick before Mike gives his opinion on the name change and then you give your opinion on the name change.
Yeah.
I want you to know that Bible Idiots was something that we just went with. And because it was stand-up comedy and Bible apologetics together in a documentary film, we thought people would understand that, hey, we're fools for Christ, the Apostle Paul. And then there was a reason why we had Jim Daly with his mountain of credibility from Focus on the Family start the movie by justifying the name of the movie.
He liked it.
I thought that it would eventually get over that, but it never did. So it changed thousands of lives. I was hoping it was going to change hundreds of thousands of lives. And so I stand by the project. We started it with $800 and didn't own a camera. And God just kept bringing people to us. If you've never seen the movie, find it somewhere. It's out there. Just search it. But we decided it was time to move on from the name now. And we came up with Salvaged by God. And for those of you YouTube subscribers, there it is on the screen. And Rumble, I love the Rumble folks. Make sure you subscribe to No Apology with Emily and Chris. So we'd love it. That Salvaged by God, that's the teaching ministry. I'm doing sermons. There's days I'm like, I don't even think I'm good enough to even put it out there. And then somebody will email me from California or Facebook message me. And it's like, wow, God's doing some stuff. So the Bible Idiot's name, changing it in the new name. Your thoughts, Mike Shaw.
Yeah, I was late to that party. I love Bible Idiots. I just thought it was...
It's large and in charge and right in back of you.
I know.
It's true. Right. Hey. Speaks for itself.
It's kind of hard to say, I don't really like it.
For the audio-only listeners, and there's a lot of them that don't watch this pathetic broadcast. Emily and I are in a studio, and we're across from each other, and if we go to Mike Shaw's camera, it would show the hallway of the former elementary school converted into a church, and it looks like a penitentiary.
Yeah, so behind me is the Bible
Behind
Idiots
him is the old Bible Idiot banner that we used to have at the merch.
Bible Idiots banner.
Right.
We used to have at the merch table.
Which is now...
So don't let that affect your answer.
Yeah,
no,
Mike.
I was going to say, help me, please. I can't speak freely about Bible Idiots.
No,
right now.
you know me.
Blink your eyes
as a radio guy.
code.
As a radio guy for 35 years, I've got to explain what's going on to those that are driving in their truck right now.
Yeah.
That they're listening listening, and it's like, that's not fair. I remember radio shows when they started doing YouTube broadcasts, they'd play videos and they'd all laugh at the video. You see that guy? You see that guy? And it's like, no, I didn't. I only listened to you on audio. So my heart goes out to him. But back to you, Mike Shaw. The banner's behind you. You were late to the party. Bible Idiots.
Well, so I love the name. And we've had this discussion since before I got here last year.
True,
about the name Bible Idiots. And I've talked to some friends. It's like, oh yeah, my friend Chris, I'm moving up to Iowa, and they did a movie, Bible Idiots. Yeah. So, they would give me that reaction too.
Yeah.
But then I would explain it to them. It's like, oh. And so, I thought as long as we explained it, maybe it would, have as big a hook into people as it did me. Because I thought it was great.
Yeah. The people that it anchored with it really did anchor with it.
Which is why we kept it, because it anchored deeply quickly.
But because of the experiences that we've all been through with people's reactions
Cancel
to Bible
culture.
And all this, right? Yeah. Salvaged by God is a great name. It's a great name, and it speaks to me.
What can you hate about that?
And I know your story, Chris, or most of it, and you know a lot of my story. And I mean, and I would say it's a common story.
Yeah. Two losers who both should be dead, but God had a plan.
Yeah. And salvaged by God, yes.
Yeah. Right off the salvage pile.
Right off the salvage pile.
Emilee, what do you think?
You know what? I do like salvaged. I like that word because it is so self-explanatory. You could also use the word upcycle. Upcycled by God. I'm joking. Then you'd find yourself on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I always loved Bible Idiots because when we originally were trying to figure out a name for the movie, the whole thrust of the movie was we believe the Bible.
Yeah.
Are we idiots to believe the Bible, or would we be idiots not to? And the whole movie is focused around that question. And it was just kind of shortened into Bible Idiots. There's a subtitle. So it's the title Bible Idiots with the subtitle, Are we idiots for believing the Bible, or would we be idiots not to? I loved it because I love anything that stands out. Like Mike said, Bible Idiots, they go, what? Like, people remember that. People, and I don't know if anyone's heard this adage before, but don't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? Have we learned nothing in literature? But I always liked it. I always loved it. But I think the change is probably time because the movie's made its run. And now that we're branching, you've got a lot of teaching and ministry that branches out from that. Yeah, I think Salvaged is good. I like it because again, it explains the thrust of it all. Yeah. Is that we have been plucked out of the trash heap. And we have been salvaged by God.
Because I think the balance between recognizing that you were a sinner who had no hope and Jesus pursued you while you were still yet a sinner.
Yeah.
And yet knowing that you're a saint, that God has redeemed you. You are a co-heir with God. And I think we should lean on the saint side and pursue the just the righteous, pure life that God's calling us to, because it's so awesome. But we got to remember that can lead to arrogance. And so you want to have that glance back and never forget where you came from kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
I think has a lot to do with it. I almost said it. Our Salvaged by God deep dive is going to go to Luke 18 today.
All right.
And as we go to Luke 18, I just want to remind everybody that before I get into it, that I have now a tote bucket rolling thing full of Bible Idiots t-shirts that are free to anybody. Wow. Okay. And just if you wanted the best Bible Idiots t-shirt story, was at an Arby's in Indiana. Traveling through Indiana. We did a shoot with the great Al Caperna in Bowling Green, Ohio, just south of Toledo. And so we're coming back through Indiana. And I stopped at an Arby's and I had the Bible Idiots shirt on. And I ran inside and, they wanted to make sure it was open. So I get to the door and look back at the car with the other two guys I was traveling with. One was our oldest son, Zach. And I'm like, yeah, they're open. So I go inside. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Nobody's in there. And I walk up to the counter and the lady looks at my shirt and she goes, "Oh, I love your shirt." I'm like, "Thank you." She goes, "Yeah, those people that believe the Bible sure are idiots." I'm like, "I know. You need to go check out the movie."
You never told her?
No.
Oh, that is hilarious.
No, I said, I feel different than you do about the Bible, but the movie is great. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of crazy.
You never know. But it stood out. She saw it. It jumps out of the
we have to go
common
back.
stuff. You know what I mean? And people take notice of it.
If you want a free T-shirt or a free DVD, all you need to do is email Emilee at freshroadmedia.com and just say free T-shirt, free DVD, put your address in there, and
I would
we'll
love
mail
to.
it.
I would love to.
I can't decide if the T-shirt's worth more now or less now.
Right.
I believe it's still holding steady at like $1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is all rummage sale fair now.
How when the artist dies, their work becomes much more.
That's right.
Hey, those Bible Idiots
Someday.
T-shirts and DVDs were paid for 7 times over by God. It's not like we're being generous here. We're asking you to help us take out our trash.
No, we're
We're not.
What are you talking about?
I just have a look. I got these T-shirts available. Emilee, Emilee at freshroadmedia.com. Put your address in there, and I will send you a free T-shirt. Make sure you mention your T-shirt size. And I will also send you a Bible Idiots DVD if you want one.
It's a great conversation starter. If you want to share your faith, wear a shirt that says Bible Idiots. People will talk to you.
They will.
Right. They might not want to hug you, but they will talk to you.
Hopefully they'll ask first.
Yeah. And so that's been part of the journey. And I want to go to Luke 18 because of that. Now keep that all in your mind. That's all part of the deep dive today. And that is, I've been asking God to resurrect the brand Bible Idiots. I've been asking him to persevere it. I've been asking him for us to change it. I've been asking him to give me a new name in circles for 5 years. 4 or 5 years we've been seriously thinking about changing it. We finally did it. And I just feel like
We did it.
Everything is fresh at Fresh Encounter Church and freshroadmedia.com.
Everything is cool when you drop the old title.
Fresh name, pun intended. Anyway, Luke chapter 18.
All right, let's be serious here.
Verse 1, it says, and he told them a parable to effect that they ought to pray and not lose heart. I'm going to find the NLT because that's better.
Okay.
And
we're turning pages, or we're scrolling on our phone, or something.
Look, it won't let me do it.
Aww.
It's like it wants me to update.
Denied.
Oh yeah. No. Does Mike have it? Do you have?
Hang on, I have to agree to something. Maybe later.
Okay, now I don't have. Now I don't have my Bible.
Okay, so I have it.
Convenient.
Here, give it to me.
I have. Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah,
I was going to read it.
No,
there you go.
No.
Okay, fine.
Don't break his phone.
I'm reading it because as I read it, I'm going to comment on it.
Okay.
All right, go to Luke chapter 18, verse 1 says, one day Jesus told his disciples a story to show that they should always pray and never give up.
Okay, very good.
So there are times when God leads you in different directions. And in this whole name that, should we keep it? It's offensive. No, people love it. It's comedy, but no, people aren't getting it. You got to explain it. This whole journey, I've been asking God to lead me in this area, and I finally got peace because I never gave up on asking the question because I never had peace. Well, I've talked about, maybe asking for healings on the hand condition I have. I've asked about other things that have been going on in my life. And you listening, and Emilee and Mike, we all may be asking God for something. And how many times do we ask once or twice and then give up?
Often.
So Jesus told this story so that they wouldn't give up. He said there was a judge in a certain city who neither feared God nor cared about people. Sounds like my old neighborhood.
Sounds like me on a Monday.
Possibly an Obama appointee. Okay.
Possibly.
Anyway.
Who neither feared God nor cared about people. A widow of that city came to him repeatedly, saying, give me justice in this dispute with my enemy. The judge ignored her for a while, but finally he said to himself, I don't fear God or care about people. Again, possibly an Obama appointee.
It's nice self-awareness, though.
But this woman is driving me crazy. I love that. That's what it says right in the scripture in the NLT, verse 5. But this woman is driving me crazy. I'm going to see that she gets justice because she is wearing me out with her constant requests.
Yeah, it's like a little kid. Yeah.
Then the Lord said this, our King.
Yeah. Okay.
Our
what does
Savior.
Say?
He
What's
said,
his response?
learn a lesson from this unjust judge. even he rendered a just decision in the end. So don't you think God will surely give justice to his chosen people who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will grant justice to them quickly. But when the Son of Man returns, how many will he find on earth who have faith?
Ooh, yeah.
So add that last part to the whole story.
Yeah.
And when he says, learn from this, are we living in the end days? Many of us think so. If that's the case, is our love growing cold? Obviously. It's obviously growing cold.
Right.
What then should we do? We should be people of vision. My message from yesterday, which if you subscribe to Salvaged by God on YouTube or on anywhere you get podcast content, that message, I had a lady show up today at Fresh Encounter Church and walked in and told me because of that message, she wants to join our church.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. We don't have membership at our church. We're very much a come as you are. We just want to feed the sheep as they come.
Yep.
But that means a regular attender.
Yeah,
that means you're going to volunteer. That means you're going to, be here and be part of the
fellowship.
Connect
with the people here. Yeah.
Exactly.
Be part of the family.
Even though we don't have membership, we have
fellowship.
I think that our fellowship, if you want to call it that, is a tighter group than most churches that have membership.
I agree.
Right.
I mean, it's almost like this unspoken covenant partnership that we have. And I actually put together a plan that's used by a handful of churches now. It's my kind of curriculum, if you want to call it, called the covenant partnership. It's in lieu of membership. It's more biblical locking arms together. And I brought it up a couple times to the elders, and I just don't know if it's going to fit at Fresh Encounter. But the reality is the same. You must have faith for such a time as this. And to get faith, you must be a praying people. And to get that, you must pray with some aggressiveness and some,
persistence.
Yeah, get up and get it done. You know what I mean? And stay with it. And no, I'm not going to take no for an answer on this. And what I'm praying for with persistence is, Lord, come quickly. And if not, the Heavenly Father is going to pick the day. So if it's not, if it can't be quickly, then strengthen us for such a time as this. Yeah. You can't do that without the scriptures on your heart, having biblical times of worship where you start all of it by giving praise, and then have that praise turn into prayer where you're really focused. And won't his chosen people who cry out to him day and night, don't you think God wants to give them justice?
Mm-hmm.
Emilee and I just talked about this since the message on Sunday. And we were, like I said earlier in the program, we had 2 hours in Omaha that we just kind of were hanging out on a quasi date afternoon just to kind of
quasi date.
Okay.
We didn't have any energy to do anything, and we didn't have any money to go anywhere.
I've had a few of those. I've had some quasi dates.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have any money to go anywhere, and we didn't have any energy to really go do anything. So we just kind of hung out for a couple hours and downloaded or decompressed and just downloaded thoughts with each other.
Even if we do like a trip to Menards, that counts as a date. So we're just at that age.
Yeah, we're at that age. But we had some really good time to talk, and you were mentioning I think we need a new mic cord for my mic.
Go. Is that the studio producer's job? I'm not sure.
When it's funded,
we'll wait on the cord, fairies.
I didn't see it on the job description, so I don't
know. What was I at? I had the big finish coming. Now I lost it.
Yeah.
We were in Omaha.
Yes.
And we were talking about the message that I preached. And you and I'm not going to tell the specifics. It's too personal. But there is one issue, and there is one person that we have been praying for like this. And not lately. Not for a while.
Right.
Every now and then we'll throw a back glance in our morning prayers towards the issue and the person. And we're praying for salvation for the person. We're praying and believing this person's going to be saved. Mm-hmm. And yet Emilee was so diligent for a while. And when I say a while, I'm talking like a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then just every now and then. And I don't know. I think we've been in Iowa, 19 months now? Yeah. I think we might have made both these prayers 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Not a lot.
Right.
And that's what we took out of the message. And we're changing that.
Yeah.
And we have a prayer warrior team at freshroadmedia.com. Yes, some of them are the attenders of Fresh Encounter, but we have people that want to be prayer intercessors. And we have people around the country that are on this team that don't live in Iowa. And yet we get almost next to no prayer requests at fresh.com. So I'm going to ask you right now, if you have any prayer request at all, We want to get there with you. We want to help join you in that journey and start praying more earnestly, more intentionally. So go to freshroadmedia.com right now. Look for prayer requests. You can type it in anonymously. These are strong Christian people who are praying for you. And it can be health. It can be finances. It can be relationship. It can just be praising God that you're still sober after all this time. And so I guess somebody's honking their horn outside.
Someone must have hit a power
There's
pole.
a burglary going on right now. Let me shut the window.
Yeah, why don't you shut the window?
Be a carjacking.
And I will keep the camera on me as I finish my thought here. So please, if you want brothers and sisters to pray for you, that is an outreach ministry part of freshroadmedia.com. And we would love to have you join us in that.
Yes.
What do you think, Em?
I love it because I know the people who have volunteered to be on that prayer team.
Well, you set them up. You recruited them.
I did, and it's a blessing to them to pray for people as much as it is for the people being prayed for.
Yeah.
They're built for it. They want to do it. It's how they serve their king.
Yeah.
And so, I love that there's people that want to do that. And oftentimes there's more people that want to do that than people who will actually come forward and say, I need prayer. That's not just here at Fresh Road Media, but like in churches and so on, praying for one another. I remember one time, Chris, we were going to our church and the pastor, this was years ago, said, if you need prayer, our elders are standing around the church and they would love to pray with any of you. Just go up to one of them if you need prayer. And you looked at me, Chris, and you're like, why would we not do that? And we got up and we both went down and he prayed for us. And what a difference.
We're talking about 350 people in a big and that's a larger auditorium.
Yeah.
And you got 4 guys along this wall, you got 4 guys along this wall. And I would say 3 of the people prayed for 3 of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just don't think people understand
the value of
if you have a good ground church that's Bible focused and they have elders, those elders are called by God. The most biblical thing you can do is have an elder pray for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Why would you not? I mean, I'm sure that there might have been people thinking, "Oh, Chris and Emilee got," because we did it every time.
Yeah,
and I mean, there
was always stuff to pray about.
Because of our travel journey and where we were. I think that we were at that church for about a year and a half, and they might have done it 4 times while we were there. It was kind of a special thing. Every time we'd get up, and we would be one of the very few that would get up. I'm sure there were people like, "Oh, Chris and Emilee must have problems in their marriage," and it's like, no, we're in the public eye every day. We will take any prayer we can get. Let's take a quick break and come back with Right On Way Off. What do you think, boss?
All right. Yep. Let's do it.
All right. You're listening to No Apology with Emilee and Chris, and Mike Shaw's already in the room. And don't forget, Emilee, Emilee at freshroadmedia.com. Get your free t-shirt, get your free DVD, and hey, throw a prayer request in there. We'll get to it.
Hey, if you enjoy listening to No Apology with Emilee and Chris, if you get any encouragement from it, please consider standing with us financially. Go to freshroadmedia.com and consider giving a wonderful gift today. It is appreciated.
Welcome back to No Apology with Emilee and Chris. So glad that you are along with us. And maybe a little rusty today. I don't know.
I think we're tired.
I just feel like we've just been all over the map, and I hope it's not as disjointed as it feels.
Blah, blah, blah,
Mike Shaw's already joined us, so it ain't like a big shock to bring him back in.
Save us from ourselves,
Emilee,
Mike.
you have a lot planned for the show. What are you thinking? Where are we headed? How you doing?
I almost brought this thing on to Right On Way Off, and then I thought it's too big and there's too much that we can talk about here, and I didn't want to do it on by myself, and I didn't want it to just get too
do it all by myself.
So I thought, you know what? Let's do this separate. And I got 3 whole other things to do with Right On Way Off. We'll get to that in a moment.
All right.
So this is formerly known as Right On Way Off.
I don't have you. All I am is confused. We're doing something that's like Right On Way Off, but it's not right.
Correct.
It's formally, but it's too big. It's basically you want opinions on something.
I was going to do it on Right On Way Off, but it was too big.
So,
but I want to do it because I think it's so interesting. I want opinions. Okay.
All right.
So this is a meme that's been going around. I've seen it ever since the first of the year because, New Year's resolutions were so huge.
Oh, yeah.
So, this has like kind of that Christian twist on it. And the first time I read it, I'm like, this is not, something's not right there, And
yeah, that's exactly how you said it.
Just not right. I don't know if I agree with you.
I don't know. Yeah, sure. Don't you know? You betcha.
But I am also the type of person where things have to like settle in my brain for a while before I really understand and formulate. Okay, this is what I know now.
Right.
You know what I mean? These are my thoughts.
What's the meme? You got me on pins and needles.
So here I'm going to read the meme, and then I want to go back and kind of look at each one of the things that it says. It goes in line with the New Year's resolutions, and it says, "This year I want to be more like Jesus." And then it has a list of things that they want to do in order to be like.
This is like a handwritten snapshot.
I
think so. You've seen it, Mike. So you've read it. Okay, good. You might have some thoughts on it.
I have not. My Facebook time is down to twice a week.
My first reaction was your first
Oh,
reaction.
good.
I think I scroll every day, but I don't post nothing. I don't know. That's what I want to be. I want to be like Jesus. He never posted anything on Facebook.
Jesus did a lot of scrolling. So I am like Jesus.
All right. So what does it say? What does it say?
Okay. This year I want to be more like Jesus.
Okay. And then
it's
got
a
a
list of things
list
that they're going to do. And I'm just going to read them all off for you. Then we'll go back and we'll tackle them. Okay.
All right. Hit us.
I want to hang out with sinners, upset religious people, tell stories that make people think, choose unpopular friends, be kind, loving, and merciful, and take naps on boats. I think there's 6 things there.
Yeah.
And I just, as those things settled into my brain, the more I realized they're kind of a little bit irrational. And I'm glad, Mike, to hear you say that you kind of had the same thought. So let's start with you. Let's go with the first one. This year, I want to be more like Jesus. Right. So they're going to hang out with sinners. What's your thought on that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to take them one at a time. I want to give my overall reaction, if you don't mind.
Yep, not a problem.
Because the thing's not wrong. It's just not wrong. But there's some words in there.
Uh-huh.
There's some words sprinkled in there that are kind of dog whistle words, if you will.
Okay.
What's dog whistle mean?
It's just got some woke on it.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's a woke thing to poke. To poke,
at
the
Christians.
church.
Yeah,
the church.
At the church.
To poke the church.
That's insight. That's insight. I never thought about that, but I think you're right.
That's, I guess I bottom lined it, but that's my bottom line. It's like,
I like that.
The way those things are true, and that Jesus did those things, and we should do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Did he though?
We'll get into it, Chris.
He did fall asleep on a boat.
Yeah, he did.
So at least that part's true.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, it's so, and it's just, okay, we'll put these things together.
Yeah. Make it sound real good.
And then we'll poke our local pastor and the church and our fellow Christian and our Christian brothers and sisters, or if we're not Christians, those guys.
Yeah.
So that's
your overall.
That's my overall.
That was your gut reaction right away.
Yep.
Good for you.
And I stand by it.
I didn't pick up on that right away. Chris, what's your overall reaction?
My overall reaction is it's somebody who has no clue who Jesus really is, the Jesus of the Scriptures, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Savior of our life, and they make it into some little smug little, arrogant. It's really arrogant.
Better than you.
Yeah, I want to be like Jesus, and I want to make unpopular friends, and I want to hang out with sinners, and it's like, you don't understand what Jesus is and what he did.
Right.
And so it's very smug. That's what it just slaps of mug to me. And upset religious people, it's like you don't understand what authentic Christianity is, and that's the true followers of Jesus. So to be like Jesus, you got to be an authentic follower, and you will love the church.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you want to, if you want to be friends with me, you better not call Emilee ugly. Okay, you better not call her. You don't tell me how rotten my wife is. And that's what you're doing to Jesus with the church.
Yeah.
So
it's his bride.
It's his bride.
It is his bride.
It's his bride.
Yeah, you probably don't want to walk around calling his bride ugly.
It just reeks of smugness. I like the way Mike put it as far as woke, a little woke thing. And they think they're so smart. They think they're so loving. They think that you realize, let me just give you a little, you poked the bear now. You've poked the apologetic bear. Okay. I will give you one example
of an
incredible sinful person. I mean, we're talking hated because he was so sinful. This guy, based on the cultural understanding, this guy would literally steal money from people and put them in oppression. And when they barely had enough to feed their kids, he'd come and take what money was left from them and then laugh in their face. And when Jesus came along to meet this guy, he said, today I'm going to dine in your house. Today I'm coming to your house. And you want to know what happened? Salvation came to the house.
Right.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, the dude was short.
Zacchaeus.
Yeah.
Climbed the sycamore tree. People, it just sounds like Jesus is just happy with the sinners and he's just eating with sinners. No, he never left any of them in their sin.
Yeah.
So the smug guy who wrote this, I want you to be convicting them of their sin when you're hanging out with them. When you make those friends that nobody else wants, I want you to be sharing the love of Jesus in bucket loads, because you want to know what salvation comes from? Those who get convicted of sin and they want a new life.
Right.
And so they literally go to God and they say, God, I confess all my sins. I ask you to forgive me of everything. Change me from the inside out. And now I want to come and live for you. That's what baptism is. You're going down in the water to represent the death of Christ, and then you come back up out of the water to represent the resurrection. When you come out of that water, it's a public proclamation to everybody, I am now a new creature in Christ. So you humbly serve the Lord. You don't do these smug little behavior modification things to show how Christian you are, because you can put down the church and you can be friends with sinners and you can do it.
I'm going to be super Christian.
Yeah, it's the intellectual deconstructive wokeness is all over that.
Yeah.
And when anybody attacks the church, look, there's a lot wrong with the church. There are visible
we're sinners.
There are visible churches. There are visible churches.
They're just a bunch of hypocrites. Yeah, join us.
There are churches under the guise of the Bible and of God who have hurt a lot of people.
That's true.
There are pastors and leaders who are just devils in sheep's clothing. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. There are a lot of that going on. Everything that God has done, Satan has come along with a counterfeit and says, I'm going to try to mess it up.
Right.
And so when you generically say that these religious people are all uptight and they're judgmental and they hurt people, that is not the bride of Christ. There are a lot of people that love others enough to tell them that there is a Savior who can give them a new life.
Right.
And if you are going to hang out with sinners, be prepared to do that.
Yeah.
Be prepared to do that. And if you're not, then you're just you're a waste of everybody's time.
That was very insightful for me. I didn't pick up right away on the wokeness, and I also love, Chris, how you really the crux of the gospel. They're missing the mark on this one.
Yep.
What I did when I started reading
the true gospel that changes lives, gives peace, joy, goodness, gladness, all of those things. And it's like I didn't sound like I had any of those as I was like, just a minute ago. But that's the truth. Jesus didn't just willy-nilly just hang out with people. He convicted them of their sin.
Yeah, he did. He said harsh things. But here's the thing. Okay, when I read through it, I'm thinking this doesn't even do they understand English here? Because here's the thing. This year I want to be more like Jesus. Bye. Hang out with sinners. How do you not hang out with sinners?
Yeah.
We're all sinners. If you're hanging out with people, you're hanging out with sinners.
You're
done and done.
If you're hanging out with yourself.
Exactly. And you can't really leave yourself alone, So you're with sinners. You're with
sinners wherever you go.
Don't you worry about that.
Yeah. Some of them are saints that are redeemed by God, and they can't claim any of that. Jesus did it all for them.
The second one, upset religious people. Okay, this was when I saw this one. This was the one it clicked.
Yeah.
Where I realized, nope, there's something wrong here. Because if your goal is to upset religious people, what did Jesus say was good, true religion? Caring for widows and orphans, right?
Yeah.
Why do you want to upset that? That's my question. Why do you want to upset people who are caring?
If I could reach over and grab your mic
orphans?
And drop it right now, I would.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so now I'm getting hot as I'm reading this. No,
good. Don't let me be the only one who decided to get all bear pokey over here.
So then tell stories that make people think. Make people think what? Yeah. Things that you want to think?
Make people really question their faith. Is it really true?
You want people
Let's
to think?
Deconstruct that in an anti-biblical, anti-Christian way so that we can really throw our faith in the trash.
Yeah. How about you just share your testimony? How about that? Because that's a really good story.
How about that?
That you can share over and over and over again. Number 2, or number whatever we're on, 4, choose unpopular friends. I thought that was kind of interesting because if you're choosing unpopular friends, are they really your friends? I mean, I don't really have a litmus test for my friends. It's like I just connect with people that God brings in my life. And, we were talking a while back to Macy Reichel, and she was talking about how when she goes off to college, finding those people, college classmates that really are grounded in Christ, that relationship in Christ really binds them to a deeper level. Like you can't replace it. There is something there. A friendship that is founded in Christ Jesus is inexplainable. You know what I mean? And so I thought that was weird. Choose unpopular friends. That sounds like you're kind of like using people. Like, who's unpopular to you? Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't have a litmus test. I'm standing in front of somebody and I kind of see them all the same. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The next thing, be kind, loving, and merciful. I don't know why I didn't pick up on the wokeness of that statement, but absolutely, because kind, loving, merciful, everyone has their own definition of those things.
But that's a good one out of the batch.
It is a good one if you're defining those things in God's word. Okay. So it kind of, though, here's the idiocracy here. Being kind, loving, and merciful, doesn't that totally conflict with upset religious people? I mean, like, how do you do both? Hello. I don't understand, Hello. And of course, the last one, take naps on boats. Sorry, I don't have a boat. That's a whole class of people.
Kitschy. That's kitschy. I like that one out of the batch. I tell you what,
it was for a smile. I get it.
If you want to put some improv to the test, read each one to me, and I will give you the way it should be rewritten if they were authentic Christian actually saying that. Yeah.
Wearing sandals doesn't make you more like Jesus. Taking naps on boats doesn't make you more like Jesus.
My sandals have a name. You know what my sandals are called, right? My Damascus kicks.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to say Larry and Curly.
No. But you don't want to wear sandals here in mid-January.
Yeah that's Is there true. More?
Nope, that's it.
All right, I want you to read me back. I want you to read me back the list, and I want to put it in authentic Christian terms.
Oh, okay. So
improv style.
This year, I want to be more like Jesus. Hang out with sinners.
I want to be sensitive to sinners and share the gospel with them.
All right. Upset religious people.
I want to make sure that religious people hear the true gospel message and the authentic Christ and not one that they've made up.
All right. Tell stories that make people think.
I want to make sure that they can read their Bible clearly and let the Holy Spirit change their mind. Or if you do know Christ, Romans 12:2, have your mind transformed.
There you go. All right. Choose unpopular friends.
I want to be.
You are the unpopular.
I want to be wise in how I choose my friends and never base it on their popularity.
Exactly. Either way.
Yeah.
Either way. Yeah. Be kind, loving, and merciful.
I want Jesus to help me, hour by hour, day by day, to be more kind, just, merciful, and loving the way that He would want me to be.
Yeah, that happens through the yielding of the Holy Spirit, not through the I'm going to do this better.
Yeah.
And then the last one, of course, take naps on boats.
I love it, man. I love to go to the lakes in Minnesota, and if Mark Egan will ever let me take a nap, I'll take it.
Yeah, I got to keep
Or my brother-in-law
open.
Steve has a boat now too. Yeah, I think I might need.
That's true.
No,
lakes in Minnesota.
That one was kitschy and smug, just because. They're just trying to get everybody to not think and go, oh, it's just like this.
Yeah.
The narrative of the fence, the wire fence coming down at the border.
Yeah.
The woke people are all pushing that children are getting cut by this fence. So if you love children at all, you will be for removing this border.
Right.
No, crimes are being committed, and I'm sorry children are involved in it, but just to take that down, that is called malevolent compassion.
Yeah.
And malevolent compassion is why this country is in the problem it is. It's not true compassion because those kids, that wire is going to be taken down, and other kids on the other side of the border are going to suffer from the crimes of the people that are easily coming across.
Exactly.
So,
there you go.
How about if you're a parent, don't take your kids across the border?
Right.
Where there's wire,
I mean, no one wants to see a kid cut by the razor wires, but that's not a reason to open our borders.
Right. A lot of those kids have been kidnapped.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're with smugglers. There's human trafficking there.
Yeah.
So,
Let's do something about coyotes.
So I don't think the barbed wire is the biggest concern.
But no, the malevolent compassion that is being driven down our throat is just playing on our emotions, and people aren't thinking. They're not thinking critically. They're not thinking with knowledge. And when the Spirit infuses you, when you are a saved person, ask God for wisdom, and He'll give it to you generously, and you can love appropriately.
Without judgment. Yeah. Your love and your kindness most of the time has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the Spirit working through you. And every once in a while, then you'll get a glimpse into, look at what I did through you, unbeknownst to you. All right, let's move on. It is time for the official Right On, Way Off.
Very near future, I'll be playing the Right On, Way Off little jingle with Don Keith's voice introducing it.
All right.
I've got all the elements. I just got to put them together, and I need something called 5 minutes. Which I don't have.
Right.
In your spare time.
And I feel like we
got so much.
And I feel like we had a great warm up. So I feel warmed up.
Yeah, there you go.
I think we're over an hour already.
That. Yeah, maybe we do need warm ups going forward. All right.
Our audience might think otherwise.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, here we go. It is time for Right On, Way Off. 3 statements I'm going to throw out there. Mike and Chris get to tell me whether these statements are, in their opinion, right on or way off. And then I'll tell them the truth. So here we go. We're going to start with you, Chris.
All right.
The first one is the whole idea of I before E except after C has been debunked by science. Is that right on or way off?
I don't know. I'm going to go. Let me think. Where should I go here?
If you don't know, take a stab.
I'm going to say way off.
Okay.
I'm going to say that linguists from years past decided just to mess with the English language.
All right.
Right next to dangling participle and splitting, infinitives and all of that. I mean,
don't end a sentence with a proposition.
Yeah. Do you ever speak to somebody phonetically? Where you say,
Pahonics.
No, where
ever speak to someone phonetically?
What I mean is
they say,
that's Chris. That's C as in cake, H as in hello or whatever.
Yeah.
I like to do that's K as in knife.
Yeah.
P as in pneumonia.
Yep.
That's good. I like
anyway,
that.
So I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm going to just go way off and say linguist ruined us with the word receipt.
Mike, your turn to take a stab at this one. The whole idea of I before E except after C has been debunked by science. Right on or way off?
That's right on.
Why is that right on?
Because neighbor and way, and there's a few others.
Okay.
Neighbor and way. What are you talking about?
Neighbor is E before I.
Yeah.
Neighbor, way, WEIGH.
How does science play into it?
Well, because all you have to do is observe.
Well,
using the scientific method, gathering facts by looking at words that exist in dictionaries and sentences.
And then make observations.
And have your theories and then prove them. And so there are words that are E before I.
Okay, so the whole answer to that question is it is right on. Because now listen, you guys got so close.
Well,
Chris,
Mike, I thought you went right on.
Chris, no, you did say right on.
Yeah, okay. I was the one who was wrong.
The right question.
What did I say?
What did you ask? You're like, how do you know or something? Yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah.
The whole idea of I before E except after C has been debunked by science. All you have to do is look at it because science is S-C. I-E and C-E.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I
thought it was the guy who said we should wear 3 masks.
It's the Fauci of language here. Yeah.
I am science. So I should have got that one.
All right. I'm not up first this time. So
Statement number 2. Okay, you complained the other day. These are just such,
No, this is much better.
No, it's obvious.
This is much better. Are you right on or way off? Jesus came to forgive you of your sins.
I'm going to go right on with that.
Tell me what you think.
Tell me what you think.
Okay, number 2. This statement's number 2. We're starting with Mike first. I can't explain this with science, but the cup you drink your coffee out of matters. Is that right on or way off?
Yeah, the cup. Everything you drink everything out of is made of matter.
You're thinking like that.
He's thinking really deep now.
Does it
I'm
matter?
trying to catch. I'm trying to catch the thing.
What's
now.
the thing? What's the underlying
So
theme?
of course your coffee cup is made of matter.
The cup you drink your coffee out of matters.
Right on or way off?
Yeah, I'm right on.
All right.
I'm not sure
it's
why.
made out of matter.
Because it's
Okay.
made out of matter.
That's
Chris?
Yeah.
The cup I drink my coffee out of matters?
Yeah.
I'm right on.
Okay. Why?
It's a mood thing. I have certain coffee cups that I drink out of that just make me feel better in the morning. And I have one, and we do it I started how many years ago? What? 2017.
A long time ago.
2017, because I remember when I bought it. I put it into rotation.
Yeah.
I bought it in Alaska. It's a big Alaska mug, and it's a big, big mug.
Yeah.
And it's called my Saturday mug. And the reason is that Saturday mornings for the longest time since 2017, as our schedule allows, is the day that I read novels.
Mhm.
I don't read, theology books or anything else like that. And at that, I don't know, I kind of back in the same boat. There was a little bit of a gap, but mostly for the last 20 years, I read about a book a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just you plow through them, and I love them. I love to read. And so that meant that I had less going on, and I could take my time and read. So that is called my Saturday mug. Now, Emily, do I drink out of that cup any other day of the week?
No.
No, just Saturdays.
And do you get upset when I take it on Saturday?
No, I get upset when you take it on Friday and dirty it up with your chai and your chocolate, and then it's sitting on the counter. I come out Saturday morning, and the dishes are... I've got to wash it by hand or condescend to this other mug that's not Saturday mug.
It's important to you.
And before you
isn't it?
say, Chris, you're really weird, it's all whimsy, but it's true.
It
we
is
do it.
true,
We do
yeah.
it.
I
Yeah.
do. It is right on.
Emily has a cup from Art Prize in Grand Rapids where she had her artwork displayed 2 years in a row. And one of those years, they gifted us, as Chris and Emily, a gift basket. And there were some Art Prize cups in there. And one of them has been my prize daily. I mean, it doesn't take a day off. It works. It's just one of those guys. And it's still, the stuff that's on it's still good. And I just feel right when I have that cup.
And you know me, I don't like that cup. I avoid that cup like the plague.
You can't serve
cup.
Emily coffee or anything in that cup. She just won't touch
in
it.
The Art Prize. It feels like I'm being arrogant or something.
Look at me, I'm an
Give me the Art Prize
Yeah.
mug for which I put my art in the Art Prize show, and now
then
I'll drink out of the Art Prize.
A couple years ago, we bought this blue and green plaid Caribou coffee cup that has this
one of my
kind of curved lips all the way around. We have 2 of them. And that's our daily go-to.
Yeah,
and
that's
if they're
our
dirty,
devotional.
I go to the Art Prize. Emily goes to
those are our devotional mugs. We like to have them at the same time, so we're matching. We're old. We have nothing left in life.
Why are we telling the world this?
Yeah, we like to do that. But I have a couple mugs, a couple coffee things.
So does it matter or not?
It does matter. Absolutely.
Right.
I gotta.
Is it because of its matter, like Mike Shaw, or is it psychological?
It's not because it's made out of matter, but it is psychological. I will move one cup to get the cup that's behind it because it's a different cup with a different picture, and it's the one I want for that particular day. It's a mood setting thing.
Is there any science, any psychological?
No, I said I can't explain that with science, but it's true. And if you talk to people, that oftentimes they do have a favorite mug, or a mug they use on a certain day,
water cup, a travel
or
tumbler or whatever,
a cup that they use for a specific drink. Like these are all our coffee cups, but when I make my chai latte, I use this one.
Well, I have a new mug, new travel coffee thing that I preach with, and it's one of the new mugs from the coffee shop, The Grounds, which is part of Fresh Encounter Church, and they're open Monday through Saturday, and I go down there almost every day and say hi to the ladies that run it, and we have fresh pastries, and it's part of the ministry here. Yep. So when I bought that mug about 6 months ago, it became my go-to daily travel mug.
It is.
And when I don't have it, I feel like
you're missing
off kilter, and it's like I gotta find it and wash it and get it. Oh, I've got this other one today. It's just
So now that you know what it means, Mike, do you connect with that? Do you have that thing going too?
I do. So I used to have a coffee cup collection.
Ooh.
On the morning show, we did in Lubbock, Texas. We used to say, send us your coffee mugs or your T-shirts, and we'll advertise your nonprofit or event on the air. And so people would send us their coffee mugs and their T-shirts.
Cool.
So we would talk about them on the air. And so I had a big old coffee collection. Now, 3 or 4 moves later, it's mostly had to dump. I had to get rid of a lot of it.
Right.
But I do have some special mugs that mostly just I don't use, but I still could not throw them away. I still have them.
Yeah.
I have a special Vikings mug that my kids gave me that the handle broke on. My daughter's band had a mug, but they made it like a one of those metal campfire mugs, so it can't go in the microwave or anything.
Right. Sure.
And then a guy at a church made me a little like pen holder thing. Those 3 things sit on my desk and have pens in them, and they are very special to me.
Yeah, world's greatest dad.
Yeah,
I mean that's got chips in it, and I don't care. That's
coffee mugs are like a love language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now this is just you making this up. You didn't read an article or anything.
No, it's just a statement. I just wanted to know.
I think you got a blog you got to write right there. Why the coffee cup matters.
Well, before we move on, I have to tell you about my coffee cup. You know, I have a couple of them. I have a few of them. I
know them all, but you go ahead and share with me.
One of them is we have 2 dogs and we have 2 mugs that each have a picture of our dog on it. And those are I use those repeatedly, but
Christmas present from 2 years ago.
I have 2 other mugs, and one is both of them were each given to me from one of my daughters. Each daughter gave me a mug at a totally different time in life. And one of them is a beautiful white horse next to a red barn and all this snow. And I love winter. Mm-hmm. I love winter. I love Christmas. When it's hot and sizzling outside in the summer, I grab that mug because it makes me feel better.
Nice. And we have a name for that mug.
Snowy.
Snowy. Yeah.
Now I have another mug. It's a smaller mug. It's more of like
Are we talking snowman?
Yeah.
See, do I try not to bring you coffee in the morning in one of those 2 cups all the time?
It's smaller. It's not a mug.
Please let her be in a good mood. Let this help.
Yeah. And it usually does. But yeah, it is a coffee cup. It's not a mug.
Yeah.
It's smaller because it's from England. They do things a little more proper and a lot less, American.
Top of the morning to you, governor.
But it's got, and this is an very English production. I don't know if you've seen it, but the animation, The Snowman, which I absolutely love. Absolutely love it. It would go on in the VHS. My kids know it. My dogs know it. When they hear the music on The Snowman, they're like, "Oh, is it nap time? Let's go to bed." We love it. We love it.
It was a lullaby in our house.
It was a lullaby.
Through a VCR.
For our
those
children
of you younger
and our
listening
dogs.
to this, VCR was something you used to run tape through. That would be connected to the TV.
I have it on DVD now.
Wow.
It's also on
What's
YouTube.
That?
It's on YouTube. Just look on YouTube for
it's an incredible musical lullaby type thing.
It's just music.
It played in our house, I would say 1,500 times, maybe 2,000 times.
Yeah, the dogs actually got to.
It was used as a lullaby for the kids and for Emilee at nap time when she was, in her very spry 40s.
And those two cups are I feel bad, sad, I'm going to cry. I need that. And I do feel better when I drink out of
Why are we sharing this on the show?
Well, because it's very important. I don't even know.
I know.
This is your therapy hour.
This weird stuff, a lot of people really enjoy.
Your therapy hour. Hey, if somebody's got a mug, tell us about it. Go to freshroadmedia.com. Tell us about your mug. Send us a picture of it. You can do that through email or leave a voice.
What's it called on the website now? It's called
Sound Off.
And when you click on that, you're not typing, you're talking.
Yeah.
When you click on that talk, tell us about your coffee cup.
Describe it to
and then
us.
we'll have it and we'll maybe play it on one of the next shows.
Yeah.
So there you go. Freshroadmedia.com. Click on Sound Off and talk and give your verbal answer. It's like calling the show.
All right. Last question, and then we are going to wrap it up. And this statement, I don't know. You tell me what you think. Who are we going to first? Chris, I guess. Our worship is not a response to how Jesus makes us feel. Our worship is a response to Jesus's worth, regardless of how we feel. Is that right on, or is that way off? Let me read it again.
Are you saying what our response should be, or what our response is?
Is this a correct statement? Is it right on? I think that was the rules of the game all along.
Yeah.
Yes, by definition of right on, way off.
I before E, except after C.
And in science and way.
And what's your favorite cup? Okay. Our worship is not a response to how Jesus makes us feel. Our worship is a response to Jesus's worth, regardless of how we feel. Is that right on? Or is that way off?
That's right on.
All right, very good.
That's right
on.
on.
Why do you think it is right on?
Because Jesus is always worthy, and we need to actually start shouting this from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Because the culture is now trying to say everything should be based on how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And, I come into worship and then I feel good. Well, yeah. I mean, all of us do that love Jesus. But it's not about that.
Right.
Jesus is worthy of our praise, even if we're down in the dumps. In fact, some of the best worship is when you are just lost and shot and just disgusted with stuff.
Right.
And you know Jesus' worth, and you go to him and you just start praising him in spite of your circumstances. And as the great song from Jars of Clay says, God will then lift your head.
Yeah.
And, or as Third Day puts it, God will lift your face.
Yeah.
And that's such right on.
All right.
It's right on. It's not based on my feelings.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mike, what do you think? Don't get excommunicated here.
No pressure.
What do you think? Our worship is not a response to how Jesus makes us feel. Our worship is a response to Jesus's worth, regardless of how we feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's 1,000,000% right on.
Yeah.
And it is how Chris describes it. I will say, though, sometimes it is how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions are important.
Yeah.
If the gospel doesn't connect emotionally, if Jesus's worth
Mm-hmm.
to you or to someone that you're trying to win over doesn't connect emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
then it doesn't work or
Right.
work as well. So, I mean, emotions are definitely involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not the question.
I know. Well, I'm just throwing
You're giving
that
a
in.
sidebar. I got you.
Yeah, I'm getting a little sidebar because
All right.
what Jesus is
tiptoe that heretical line there, buddy.
It's not a heretical line.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
My point is about feelings.
Yeah,
No,
we know.
Go ahead.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not countering what you're
No,
saying.
Right,
I'm just
right.
saying,
He's
I'm just
adding
saying-
to it.
I'm adding to it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying because if we want to be honest with ourselves, and there are different personalities. Some people don't have emotions, and that's okay.
That's true.
And
yeah.
some people have too many emotions,
Yeah.
and that's who they are, and that's okay.
Yep.
And you better connect emotionally with people who have emotions. But the thing is, things that are good,
That's funny.
things that are good, tend to make you feel good.
They do.
Even if you don't feel good, when
Yeah.
you realize what Jesus' worth is.
Yeah.
When you realize the price that he paid for you, that he would have done it for you, even if you were the only one. And when I was a new Christian and someone said that, Jesus would have come back and died, even if it was just you. And I'm like, whatever, dude, you're lying to me. Don't exaggerate.
Oh, wow.
And then I read the parable of the 99 sheep, and I read the one sheep, the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the prodigal son. And it's like, oh, wow.
And that evokes
He really would have.
feeling. Yeah,
Right.
it really does. It affects feeling, and that is most certainly true. It is right on. You guys are both right. That is a quote from Vodi Bakum, which I've been using him a lot lately. But he really touched on some of the same things you guys were touching on, and he talked about like when it comes to funerals. He said we see this a lot. And he talked about some funerals would be like all about the person that passed away, their pictures and their stories and their videos and their things that they love. But then there's other funerals where people come in and they make it all about God. And he really went into a long explanation. It was really, really good about how while those funerals that make it all about the person who passed away give you that emotional, cathartic feeling, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
When you walk into a funeral and you
want the funeral to have ability to say goodbye.
Right. It's for the people.
That's part of it.
It's for the people attending. When you turn it and you eventually bring it to who God is, now you are actually entering into the realm of healing. Now you're entering into the realm of truly trusting in God and who he really is. And it really made a lot of sense. And I love this quote. And when we keep that in mind, I think it's absolutely right. It's not we do this so that we feel this way. We do this because Jesus is who Jesus is And Mike is absolutely right. You come away with that. It affects.
Yeah.
It affects what's going on.
I like
inside.
Mike's what I said without taking away. I thought for a second there, Mike, you were going kind of
no, I wasn't
because
doing that.
no, and I'm not against feelings. I mean, we get convicted, we get confirmed in our feelings, but too much is based on, well, I don't feel that way.
Right.
And to be honest with you, Jesus doesn't care how we feel. He wants us to know that he died for us and he's worthy of our worship regardless of how we feel, because that was the question, right?
Sometimes he does. He cares how we feel, but Mike's absolutely right when he said, I can't even remember what he said.
Well, I mean, it's just the reason why we have those feelings ultimately is what Chris said, is because of what Jesus did for us.
And he uses those.
And he uses that. So it's like, if I'm in my sin and I'm repenting and I'm broken, use that word broken, but then the way I feel in that repentance is because of what Jesus did.
Right.
And if I'm brokenhearted because of something that happened to me or a family member died or, along those lines, then he's close to the brokenhearted.
Yes.
And so I feel that. But it's because of who he is and what he did that I can live in him and live with him forever. And that's everything, no matter what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just the presence of the Lord, even when you when you feel just at the bottom of the bottom, but knowing that the Lord is with you, that is life-saving knowledge. And so, all right, that's going to do it for the show, unless we got some other things. Mike, anything going on with Jesus is coming soon?
Yeah, you know what's funny about that?
What's funny about that?
Chris and I have been talking. It's like, it's too long. People don't get it. There's 100 shows out there named Jesus is Coming Soon. So we've been talking about maybe Jesus is Coming Soon does the Salvaged route.
Okay.
I mean, Salvaged is taken. It would be a different name.
Interesting.
You want to? Should we get some suggestions coming in?
Any suggestions would be welcome. We could start the brainstorming, but I'm kind of open to the idea, and I didn't used to be.
No, you weren't.
Interesting.
Right. Well, you've really felt God laid it on your heart. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
That's just such great news to hear, because I want you to do Jesus is Coming Soon, but I want you to do a prophecy news show.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of research and work. And right now, God has not given us that kind of time. And so if that would change, if funding would come in and whatnot, we can always, maybe do that. But if you did a different type of show, you hosted a call-in talk show in Tucson for 4 years. I mean, it's not like you're a rookie at this.
Right.
And so when we figure out what it is your show's going to have a focus on, my focus on it's a teaching platform. It's my sermons. It's my messages about, we are salvaged by God. We're just Bible idiots. We're just people who, tongue in cheek this, tongue in cheek that. But at the end of the day, Jesus took us off the salvage pile, created a new life in us, and now we're useful to the kingdom. No apology with Emilee. No apology with Emilee is because we don't want to apologize for our Christianity. Too many people are apologizing, and they're trying to capitulate to the country, just like the meme Emilee read. That's just that sounds so good to people that he's getting likes all over. It's just going viral. That's how we're supposed to be, until you stop and think about it. It's like, no, Satan just passed a counterfeit 20 your way, my friend.
I like that illustration. That's a good illustration.
Yeah. So that's the name of the show.
So do you got any ideas you want to throw out, or did you come up with something yet, or where are we at in that process?
This is the process. So
you, the listener, are part of the process. I love that.
I mean,
we got nothing. You need to help us.
We didn't rehearse
We're tapped out.
We didn't rehearse this. Chris and I have talked about this maybe twice.
Yeah.
And so I've been praying about it. I've been thinking about it. I kind of like the idea of changing the name. I don't know what yet.
Yeah.
And so biblical perspectives today.
Yeah. Suggestions. And you have the reading through the Bible on the website too.
I think that's got to be part of it.
Yeah. Quick tell us about that again.
Yeah. So
and you can even say a little bit about what you spoke on Saturday, because that was awesome, bro.
So I've told the story other places. I don't think I have here, but I have on the Jesus is Coming Soon podcast. But so I met this guy. His name's Tom Letting when I was working in Odessa, Texas. Odessa, Texas, Odessa, Midland. And there's nothing out there except there's lots of oil underneath the ground. But anyway.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So I was out there doing Family Life Radio, and Tom Letting called, Tom Letting Ministries, can I come on your morning show? I'm like, well, what else are we doing? Yeah, come on, Tom. And yeah, I didn't know Tom.
The more the merrier.
It's amazing how guests will find you're that open. Okay, yeah, we're struggling to find people.
You know what? I haven't mentioned this, but it's always Assemblies of God.
Oh, okay.
It was always Assemblies of God.
Yeah.
Hey, I've spoken in a lot of Assemblies churches and met a lot of great Christians.
I mean, they're bold like that.
I know that there's something with the denomination, and there's been a handful of sketchy ones, but
well, you can say that about every denomination.
I like AGs. AG was my first church.
Was it good? Yeah. No, I mean,
my first church was an AG.
I have a lot of positive experience with them.
So Tom comes on, and he's like, "Well, how would you like to be guaranteed that you'll be blessed by God?" I'm like, well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
It's like,
where do I sign?
I'll pass on that.
I've been a Christian 2 years.
Let me ask my feelings if I would want that.
Do I have to walk over hot coals?
Did you try to upset him at that point?
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
So he proceeded to unveil his reading program, which is every morning 2 chapters in the Old Testament, 2 chapters in the New Testament, 5 Psalms, and that day's Proverbs, which gets you through the Old Testament once a year, New Testament twice a year, roughly.
Let's talk time. How much time every day does that?
It's about 30 minutes.
Really? You can
read
30?
Bad.
For me, I don't know that I read particularly fast, but maybe. I mean, you're depending on who you are.
Sure.
It takes me a half hour.
Okay. So you go through the Old Testament.
I've been doing it all year again.
New Testament twice. Psalms how many times?
I changed it to 3 Psalms a day. And if it's Psalm 119 once a day.
Yeah, just that one.
Yeah.
For those in the know, if you know, you know.
People laughed when I said that. It was funny.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
And a lot of people in the audience,
they knew.
Right. So that gets you through the Psalms about once every 50 days. So and then the Proverbs, there's one for every day, as you know.
Nice.
So,
except for in February, you just dissed the last 3 Proverbs.
Or this year, the last 2.
Oh, yeah, it's leap year, forgot. Yeah.
So anyway, that's I jumped in. I did it for 3 years, and God used that along with listening to lots of sermons, driving across Texas. I had cassette tapes going all the time with my favorite
and you
pastor.
Were blessed.
I was very blessed.
Yep. Guaranteed.
I had one pastor tell me later, it's like, well, Mike, it's kind of like that was your seminary.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah.
So they didn't say, be blessed, send me money. Or be blessed and, read God's word.
Read God's word.
You will be blessed. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
All right. Very good. I love it. All right, Chris.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. Lay it on us.
My final thoughts are, please go to Salvaged by God on YouTube, on Rumble, on anywhere you get podcast content. And if you need to search the old Bible idiots, please do so. But Salvaged by God, please subscribe. And then if you are touched by any of those messages, please share it with your friends. We have one goal, and that is to try to do all we can to get the truth out to as many people as possible on any platform, any way that we can that's allowed by God. And right now, my work at Fresh Encounter Church, every time God gives you these blessings, there's Satan comes along and fights.
Isn't that the
so
truth?
We have all kinds of struggles. So we're not, it's a challenge. So every time I go to say what I'm about to say, I just, this little guy jumps in the back of my head and says, well, what about all the problems? I was about to say, we have such blessings and such unity and so much good things going on at the church. Fresh Encounter Church is just an outstanding group of folks that want to serve Jesus for such a time as this. But we're also a come as you are, so everybody's welcome. So that means another handful of folks, they're not quite there yet. They're welcome, and we're just so grateful they're there. And then we have some strangers and some seekers that come in. And here's the thing about our church and me as a pastor is that you can come with any questions. You can come with all the doubts in the world that you have. We have settled answers for you. Okay. We don't condemn you in your doubting, but we don't want to leave you there either.
Right.
And that's what's going on with a lot of people. They're celebrating this doubting and this curiosity and all this other mumbo jumbo. Jesus wants us to have settled truth, and he wants us to be rock solid.
Trust him because he's trustworthy.
And both of you guys said yesterday's message was really good. And when I hear that, I don't mean that I was a good orator or that I had a good speech. It was God worked through the message probably much better than I could have even thought. And it's just Salvaged by God, my teaching platform. God's going to do something. It's going to be people just like you listening saying, yeah, I'm going to subscribe to that.
Awesome. So. All right. That is going to do it for the show. Right? Right?
Sure.
Am I right? I'm right.
You want me to hit this?
I do. Join us again next week.
Can we not record late on Monday? I'm almost asleep.
Oh, well, take a nap on a boat. You'll feel better. I don't know. No apology with Emilee and Chris.